We have a question for you. To piggy bank or not to piggy bank? That is what we're trying to decide today. Financial advisor Tom Powell is with us, and he's got some lessons for the kids in our lives. Tom, it sounds kind of silly to piggy bank or not piggy bank, but we're talking about saving or how to invest that money, and it seems, how early are we starting this in life? How early is the time to have this conversation?
You know, I really believe that it's something that you start very early. You know, I think it starts when their child is born, creating a savings account for the child. Yeah, sure, they don't get a whole lot of benefit out of knowing what you're doing right then, but they're gonna learn over time. And then as they're young, you start with them, taking them to the grocery store and giving them $1 or $2 to spend on something that they wanna spend it on. Or maybe it's playing board games with your kids as they're young grade school folks, playing Monopoly or playing the game of life. Now, I'm not advocating letting them win, but playing those kind of games with them so that they can learn some of those lessons that they're going to be faced with when they get a little bit older.
So starting it early, and a great way to do that is with a savings account of some kind, because you get the concept of saving
Right.
for a rainy day or saving for something.
Right. Well, it also comes down to the conversation that you have with them about why they're saving money. You know, I have 5 kids of my own, and we are big advocates at my household of dividing your money into 3 groups. You have money that you can spend today, fun money, if you will. You have money that you're saving for some goal or something that you want down the road. And then you have money that you set aside for charitable inclinations as well, whether you're giving it to the church or the SPCA or some other organization where you want to be a contributor to.
And then you have to, I start asking the question, well, where does the money come from? Then that begs the question of, do you do an allowance or do you not do an allowance? Or do you do that until they start having a job? Well,
that's a great question. Harris Interactive recently did a poll that showed that over 60% of parents pay their kids an allowance. And kind of the time that the kids invest in order to get that allowance is about 16 hours a week. Or I'm sorry, about 6 hours a week for about $16 in allowance. So I think allowance is beneficial as long as it's tied to chores. I think just giving the kids money really doesn't show them the value of it. When you tie it to certain chores that they have, now they see what they're sacrificing in order to achieve that. I'm really not a huge advocate of teaching our kids to chase money at all costs, but I think that they need to learn fiscal responsibility as well as good stewardship on the money that they have.
And that's a safe haven way to do that, with doing chores at home that are established for a certain rate, and then maybe move into a job, which again, there's debate about how early you do that. And when you're a student, that if you're fortunate enough, that should be your full-time job.
Right. Well, and it is a balancing act. I think there's aspects of it. Our kids are so harried nowadays, honestly, between the immense school work that they have with their regular academic schedule and then being involved in extracurricular activities. How do you find time for work? Truth of the matter is, if it's certain things that are important to your kids, they'll find opportunities, whether it's babysitting or cutting grass or maybe having a part-time job. You have to figure out what's going to work well for you and your family, but make sure that the conversations are being had. Establish with your kids the things that you're willing to pay for versus maybe some of the wants that they have that they need to go out and work for. My youngest daughter, for example, she's a big softball player, and she had a certain bat that she wanted. Excuse me, she had a certain bat that she wanted. It was an expensive bat. So my wife and I shared with her how much we were willing to pay for this softball bat, but if she wanted the nicer one, then she needed to work in order to achieve the money to pay for the rest of it, and she did. It was something she was really care about.
I personally think that's a great lesson. We did halvesies in my family a lot, and so it does teach you the value of, it took a lot to get halfway.
That's right.
So then you start to appreciate those things.
And kids don't always understand the value of money, and so we got to start when they're very young, teaching them what it looks like, you know? So to a kid, it doesn't make a difference if it's a baseball card or a bicycle. To them, it's just something that they want. If they understood that it cost 200 baseball cards to buy that bicycle, now all of a sudden they can start connecting the dots at a very early age, and that does carry them on through to high school.
These are all lessons that hopefully parents or guardians or grandparents are sharing with children. What if you're in the boat of not being necessarily financially secure or confident with handling money on your own? And we have a minute left, so.
Yeah, no, I think that that's a real life situation that we run through, but you don't want your kids to fall victim to the same thing that you fell victim to, so it is a time to have a conversation with your kids. Nothing creates security for your kids like letting them know that they come from a stable financial background. So I think you have those conversations. Show your kids where maybe you've fallen short, like use of debt, use of credit cards, things of that nature. Show them now before they fall victim to that, and they can make better decisions than even we can.
Great insight, Tom. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it.
Nice seeing you very much.